This episode of the Flush Podcast is brought to you by Walton's, Onyx Hunt, Marshwear Clothing, Aluma Trailers, Lucky Duck Premium Kennels, and by Hoxie Native Seeds. Today, we're celebrating 250 episodes, of our podcast by sharing stories from you, our listeners. We've got a pile of them, and we may have a few surprise guests join us in this broadcast to help us cap off our hunting season. We've got skunks, porcupines, first hunts, last hunts, misses, hits, and a whole lot more. Big Al, cue the music. Welcome to another episode of the Flush Podcast. I'm Travis Frank. I'm your host. Big Al is our producer. Scott Fransen is back in the Roost.
In the Flush. In the Roost. I like
in the Roost. Yeah. So our first video podcast went out last week, and the first comment on it was, you guys should call it the Roost.
That was way better than what we came up with.
It's pure genius.
The hunt camp was kind of bland. I feel like the Roost has character, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The Roost. I mean, it fits. It's perfect. So
Could have called it Al's house.
we could, but I like
Then
the
we could have
Roost
put
a
my
lot.
bed in here too and everything.
So we're back in the Roost again today. I think let's just go with that for now. You can
like
have
it.
that sponsored at some point, Scott.
We'll have to play residuals to whoever came up with the name.
Yeah, perhaps. But they offered it up, so I like it. Al, you in favor?
I love it.
Okay, that's
I
two.
mean,
favor.
Al's
I'm
house,
in.
Al's
I
house
love
would
it.
have been cool too, but I guess it's fine. We can do the Roost.
Okay, so we're video broadcasting once again. We did have some feedback. Some people enjoyed the video format. So hey, Al,
Yeah.
props to you.
Thanks, guys.
We have Daisy stealing Millie's bed right now.
Scott's
Millie
kinda
is laying
blocking
on
her
the
right
floor.
now, sorry.
Yep, that's okay. And we are back today to celebrate episode 250.
That's unbelievable.
250 podcasts. I have been here for 247 of them. You have been here for 3 plus a few guest appearances, co-hosting appearances. That's a pretty good run.
How come Bill hasn't had to do one on his own? Or Ron?
Slackers. I don't know.
You should
They're-
have words
you-
with them.
You are their boss.
No. No.
You
I-
need to have words
get
with
to
them.
I
fire
am just
people and
eye
sign the
candy in this
checks.
deal. Right, Al?
So I
You
think,
need to sign the checks.
I'm eye candy, right?
yeah, clearly.
Trav's gonna get mad at me if I say anything.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We have got a few of our listeners that have been loyal enough to stick around for all of these years.
Thank
and
you.
to that, we say thank you.
Yeah.
Today, we are going to celebrate with a whole pile of stories. But before we do that, 250 episodes. I know you just wait every Thursday morning until this thing drops, Scott, so you can tune in to hear what we're going to talk about. Do you have any favorites?
Wait, you said there's been 5 that I've been on? Those are the only
3.
5 that I listened to.
You hosted 3. You hosted 3 eepisodes. I look back at the list.
Yeah, but I've been a guest.
Yeah, I know.
How many do you think
hosted
you've been a
3.
guest
You've
on?
been a
Oh, I don't
co-host, maybe a dozen.
Yeah, maybe
I'd
a
say
dozen.
something like
the
that.
best 12.
The
If
last
we're
2
ranking them in order of 1 to 12.
The
best
last
12.
2 he's been on. And the only reason I brought him back again today is because we're doing video now, and it would feel weird to just have me and Al staring here talking to each other.
Just
So
like
that's why you're
my
here.
beard. You want to show off the beard? I think.
Leah, look
Yeah,
at,
what's
Scott,
going
can you
on
look at
there?
the camera and just show everybody that beard really quick?
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm just.
Are you going to let it go?
No, no.
You really letting yourself go.
I was gonna. That's been years though, Travis. I was going to shave it this weekend, and then I didn't. It's coming off soon. I don't know. Steve Hall said he liked it, but
You need the mustache like Trav and I. Trav's
see
getting his
this?
coming.
Do you see this
Yeah.
duster here I'm
Yeah,
working
yeah,
on?
I like that.
Yeah, so I'm rolling with this for now until the boys' hockey team loses.
Ooh.
They're on a heater. They just cleaned up in
They're on a
Bemidji.
heater.
They're on a heater right now. I'm serious, you guys. They are rolling. They won the championship in Bemidji this past weekend, taking down 2 North Dakota squads
Ooh.
and 3 Minnesota squads en route to bringing home Paul Bunyan's axe.
That's fun.
It was. In the third period, they scored to tie it. And then with 2.2 seconds left, they scored to win.
Oh my
I mean, I
gosh.
just
Was
went-
it just mayhem on the ice?
It was mayhem on the ice, except for they had to drop the puck and make it official. Here's the crazy thing. So we broadcast these. Another dad and I, we record these games, and then I've got a little microphone, and so does he. And so we do play-by-play, and we're getting like hundreds of views on this now.
Hundreds.
Yes, exactly. And so people are commenting because it's a live stream. If you have the password, you can get in to watch it. It's so great.
That's
it's so much fun. But anyway, so we have this video. One of the moms sent a clip of it that she screen captured, and she goes, "Watch this." So our team scores with 2.2 seconds left. These are squirts, okay?
Right.
These are 10-year-old kids. And so they go to drop the puck, and a kid on the other team slashes our kid at the puck drop because he knew the game was over and he was mad about the way that it ended, and drops our kid on the ice, and he goes to try to celebrate with his team, but he can hardly get there because he got slashed with the stick across the shin. And I'm like,
gosh,
what the heck is happening right now?
That's awful.
I know. And then parents were complaining about sportsmanship or something, and they said you have some kids that should be playing at a different level or something
because you won by a goal.
Because we won with 2 seconds. I'm thinking, what the heck? How about
how much more even could it be?
It couldn't be more even.
Right.
3-3, going down. We're ready for overtime and a break. This kid gets a puck. He skates around one defender and does a really sick move and puts it top shelf. He just does a toe drag over and then boom, and it was his hat. It was a hat trick for him.
He shouldn't be playing.
Yeah, he shouldn't be playing then. Like, what the heck? Come on. How about great game? You guys have some great skaters, because that was what I said. I said, great game. You guys played amazing too.
Right.
So anyway, I'm going to let this stash grow for a bit. Al's got one going too.
Maybe we should let it go until Pheasant Fest, the three of us.
Flush stashes?
Flush stashes.
What the people don't know is I always have the stash rocking.
That's
You're
not
new
true,
to the
Al.
game.
You just did it 2 weeks ago. What is this always?
I did grow out the beard for a little bit, but all through college I had the stash.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I think you should take some black mascara and paint that sucker in, and then
I thought about mine's pretty light.
It is
color.
a
like a
tad bit
Sav
blonde,
there.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it was darker.
I want a Jake Middleton stash so bad.
That's so sweet.
Just a thick broom up on top.
Yeah.
I mean,
with
it
the
looks
missing
so
teeth too.
good.
The missing 2 front teeth make it so much better.
It really is.
Should we do it?
I'm in.
Are you in, Al?
I mean, I'm
to grow
in.
out the mustache or grow out the beard?
Facial hair until Pheasant Fest.
Well, I'll have facial hair till Pheasant Fest for sure.
He's looking for an excuse to be lazy over here. Scott, back to the question. Did I ask you, what's your favorite moment from 250 years of doing this? Feels like it.
Probably the first one, just because I think you...
Have you gone back and listened to it? I won't. I can't.
No, but I mean, truth be told, you weren't super excited about doing the podcast.
Yeah, it's true.
Is that
it's
true?
It's true. Yeah.
And so it was with a little bit of nudging that you did it, and like everything you do, Trav, you then embraced it, and it has evolved so much over the last 249 episodes. But I think what it's done for us is it's allowed us to stay connected to our bird hunting community year round.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been the best thing about the podcast, I think. And we get great feedback from the podcast, from all the things we do with the show. But because it's a weekly check-in, we can interact with the consumers of the show and get feedback, adjust, things like that. So probably show one, and then we get. I just remember Travis shaking his head.
I'm like,
podcast now.
Really?
Podcast.
So we're going to talk about hunting for an hour
and
every
look
week?
Now you're on TV. Not on TV.
We were doing
now
TV
you're being
before.
filmed once again.
This was like Al was still in diapers when we started. That's how I feel about this podcast.
I have went back and listened to some of the older episodes, not the whole thing, but just to see how they sounded. So I've kind of heard episode 1.
You did?
Kind of. Like I didn't actively listen to the whole thing.
Was
but
episode 1 at Pheasant Fest? Or was there 2 before that?
No, I can't
remember.
So. Let's see here. I actually went and I scrolled through. The first one was Ron Shera remembers 65 years in the field.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. And that one was recorded here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. 65 years of upland bird hunting stories. I think he told like 3 or 4. So it's really a lie. It wasn't 65 years. He was complaining about going too long.
Oh, well,
He wanted the show to be over. You know why, though? Because Ron and I say Ron and I because Ron had a live radio show on WCCO radio here in Minnesota, broadcasting over the airways all across the state and probably reaching into the Dakotas, Iowa, and Wisconsin too. But live outdoors on WCCO. And live outdoors would run at the longest 8 or 9 minutes.
Right.
That's it. And then you've got commercials. And then you can, go to take a bathroom break or whatever because commercials on radio run for however long.
Oh, long
and then
time.
you come back and then it's 7 minutes. And then we're going to do a quick hit to tease the 4th segment. And then we're out of here. And so in an hour, you talk for like 26 minutes, I think.
Well, yeah, that's Ron is an old radio guy.
Yes,
and so
exactly.
He's trying to hit the clock.
Yeah. And so I had to fill in for Ron 3 out of every 4 weeks because he was gone. He wasn't even in town.
And you get a high five.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't you used to be in radio, though? I feel like.
Yes, exactly. For Ron because he was never in town.
Okay, that was why.
Yeah,
okay.
we all have faces for radio.
Yes, exactly.
Isn't that weird? We've all been in radio.
Well, you?
Yeah, in college.
Oh,
I had
that's
my own
right.
radio show.
What did you call it?
I was Al on the weekends.
Al on
on the weekends.
Yeah.
Original.
Mix 99.1.
What did you talk about?
Well, it wasn't like a talk show. It was like music radio.
What you broadcast?
Hot stacks of wax you're spinning.
Today's hits with Big Al.
It was.
Were you Big Al on the radio?
I wasn't Big Al. I would like you'd either be Al or Alex. Yeah, I was Medium Al then.
Yeah, Growing Al.
Yeah, and then they went to satellite or Sirius XM instead of local, so we all got laid off.
Oh, that had to be
Did they
painful
pay?
Day.
Well, I was only part-time. I don't know about my boss. Well, unfortunately, my boss worked there, got laid off, and then a month later, he was also a tour guide at Mankato Brewery, which just closed. I guess, I don't know if you know about Mankato Brewery, but so both of his jobs, he got laid off from in a span of like 4 or 5 months.
Drinking the profits, huh?
Could have been.
Well, yes, the live radio is always fun to me. And
Freaky, though.
Well, I like it. It's unpredictable. And as a listener, I also like it because it's unpredictable. That's the best part.
That's
you don't know.
like the trivia contest.
Yeah. We've had drunk people call in. We've had super passionate people call in. I mean, it's so great. You don't know what you're going to get. And then your producer, he's got 784 buttons, and he's ready to hit the dump button at any second and he's like, are we really doing? And I would have to set up the guests. I would have to set up the show for Ron because Mike Max was the co-host who was actually the real host. And so
all he wanted to do is talk duck hunting.
What do you got this week? And so I'd walk in like, well, we're going to do this, this, and this. And so it was a great experience though, because as we talked last week, Scott, I've been doing this now 15 years here, TV, and then the podcasting stuff that has come over the last 4-ish, 5, I don't know, however long we've been doing this. But you just get a lot of confidence when you're thrown into situations. And that's how I learned television too. I went to school for business management. And in some ways, I'm kind of managing projects with our TV crew, with our networks, with the sales team, with all the moving parts. So I'm kind of using that a little bit, but I never expected to be doing television. I never expected to be doing podcasts. I mean, I remember being a fishing guide in high school. I bought a boat with my lawn mowing money and I started a fishing guide service. And this doctor who was one of my best clients, he said, "You sure have the gift to gab."
Well, you do have that.
And you have to as a fishing guide because you have to entertain strangers for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, depending on how long the trip they book. The fish are only part of the experience. So today we do have.
What you keeping them on time there, Alex?
No, you'll see.
Oh.
Well, we might have guests. I don't know. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Let's keep it unpredictable, right? Oh, yes. Okay, so I would go back and, I scrolled through some of our episodes and some things that really stand out to me. We've had a lot of biologists, we've had veterinarians, we've had dog trainers, and there's so much good information that I've learned. Hopefully our listeners have as well. But I mean, you think back, like we did a final farewell to Raven.
Right.
We did an ode to Izzy.
Yep.
We said goodbye to Hank.
Say goodbye to Hank. Yep.
We introduced the Hank Hunt going on
This is our fourth year this year. Yeah.
Exactly. We've had listener stories, live call-ins, and they're always great. I love every one of them. The live trivia, our live shows. Once again, we're doing another one at Pheasant Fest here in a couple of weeks. So I'll just throw this out there. It is going to happen at Border Brewing Company Friday, March 7th at 6 p.m. It's just a few blocks or minutes away from, I don't know, is it the convention center
I
or wherever?
the convention center.
Sure.
They have a different name for it, but it's basically the convention center.
Okay, so Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic is heading to Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Yep, and we will be there. We are going to have a booth once again.
Yep.
We probably are going to be podcasting in the booth, Big Al.
That'd be
On-air
cool.
production meeting for you. Heads up.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so cameras, we're going to do video, we're going to do all of it. I mean, we're going to broadcast the whole thing live at Pheasant. No, I'm kidding. But we will have a live show with trivia once again.
Yep.
Scott versus Tyler Webster versus George Lyle. George Lyle has dominated you guys. He's made you look
dominate
foolish.
year one. Last year he dominated.
He's made you look foolish.
Year one, there was a controversial ruling that went against me, and I should have won.
Oh, that's true. It was close, but the right man won, and so he is going.
in Travis's mind.
You know, I feel like this is a good thing to bring on someone like Tyler to talk about too, and see what he feels about George Lyle winning all the time.
Tyler, how do you feel about George Lyle winning all the time?
Not a fan at all.
Scott, is this a surprise to you to hear Tyler's voice?
Well, I just talked to Tyler last week. So
I know. Here I am. Yesterday, I climb in my car. I'm about to take Daisy to the vet, and I get the update on podcasts. And here comes Tyler's podcast. Season recap with Scott Fransen. I'm like, what is this?
You don't know how
I have to listen to this? So I turned it off. I called Tyler, and I was like, what kind of trash are you broadcasting on your show? The
Tyler's most downloaded podcast. Just got
Guys,
out
what
yesterday.
is what it is Travis was just upset that I didn't call him to be on the podcast before you.
Well, that's because you don't get a word in edgewise with Travis. At least I let you talk, Tyler.
That's true. That is true. Yeah. And you know, you and I needed to get our story straight before we got to Pheasant Fest. We had to get the word out there that there's some collusion going on.
Big time. Big time
Yeah.
collusion.
You want to talk about just total poor sports. Tyler, you missed this before, but a 10-year-old slashed another
I think
one of my
George should be
10-year-old
moved
kids.
up out of the peewee level that Tyler and I. He doesn't
I don't-
belong.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how to help you guys, you professional hunters, to answer hunting-related questions at the live show. But do you have any, have you been practicing? Have you been studying up at all, Tyler? Are you ready for Pheasant Fest, and are you ready for the live show?
I'm always ready for the live show, but no, I'm not studying at all. I'm an expert at exactly one thing, and that is making.
Oh,
Oh.
he's on a mail route right now.
Yeah, I figured
Hey,
he was
park
on
the
that.
car. Park the car
Yeah,
on
but-
top of the hill, Tyler. Drive
Either-
back to the top of the hill if you can hear us.
He might have locked his phone, to be honest, if he's on his phone.
He is on his phone. He's
I
in the
bet he
middle of a
locked
mail
it.
route
Yeah, I
right
could
now.
tell he was in his car.
Yeah, yeah.
I bet he locked it.
All right. If you can hear us, relog back in, and then we'll pick it up there. So he's been.
Well, it doesn't seem
cruising-
like he's ready for a live show if he's doing this. So just saying.
No. I
Oh,
know.
you know what?
So I listened to a different podcast that was worth my time to listen to of his, and
That's hurtful.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I think, Tyler, are you there?
Do you think he's trying? Oh, there he is.
Oh, there we are.
Okay,
Oh, sorry about
you
that.
just put that baby in park right now. That mail
Oh,
truck.
I'm in park, but yeah. Well, this program you guys are
Yeah, you can't.
doing this.
You
through,
can't lock your phone.
It does. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't go through my audio through my sync system, my pickup. So it just keeps on locking
Yeah.
up. On me.
Oh,
Hey, we're
gotcha.
semi-professional, Tyler. Okay.
Mhm.
Fair enough.
I never
fair enough.
claimed to be perfect.
If there's an
Yeah,
issue
so-
with the program, it is 100% Big Al's fault. I will say.
Fair enough.
So
Yeah. I'm not studying. I'm not studying at all.
But what I did hear a couple weeks ago on your show, the Western Wing Shooter podcast, is you and Wes are maybe going to be working some sort of like sign language thing. He's going to be in the audience and he's going to be signing to you up on the stage to try to help
well,
you.
I think more of what it is we're just going to be looking. I'm going to have spotters in the audience trying to figure out your signals to George.
Right.
Is really what it is. That way, as long as things are on a fair playing field, me and Scott, we're good losers as long as it's all fair and all above board. But we just don't believe it is.
And we're also going to sit next to each other and do some under the table leg taps to just see if we both see the same thing when you're giving George the signals. Hey, I have to go back to something here, Tyler. When I was on your podcast and I locked up my phone for a while, all I could hear you talking about was old guy problems. And what did you just do there, big guy? Huh?
Leave it to a guy who owns a media company to agree to do a podcast and then do it through his earbuds and then mid-podcast start messing around with it. Well,
it fell out of my ear. I just pressed it to get back in.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so we're gonna get into some stories here from our listeners, Tyler. But you and I have gone through a lot together. We've hunted together for several years now. We've shared some great experiences out there in the field, and I'm forever grateful for it. My dog is here right now because of you, and I know, air hugs. Do you have anything over the last 5 years or so that we've been hanging and hunting together that you'll remember or that sticks out to you?
Well, I mean, the first time that you and I ever hunted together was one that's always I'm gonna be forever grateful to you and to the Flush in general, because we were doing it with my buddy Craig, who was dying from cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So like going back and just getting a chance to see those episodes and remembering what he sounded like when he talked or laughed or whatever. I mean, that's always going to be the one that's going to go back. But we've had a lot of really, really fun times, great times out in the field. On a much more happy note, the one that's really going to stick out to me is probably going to surprise you a little bit, but it was our Arizona hunt. Getting down there and taking you out into a place that's just objectively beautiful. And we had a excellent hunt, a lot of birds, beautiful country, some good dog work, some not so good dog work, but it was just a really, really enjoyable time down there in Arizona. That's definitely probably my favorite hunt that we've done together.
And you saved my life on that hunt too.
Well, and you tried to sacrifice the poor camera guy by jumping over him and pushing him towards the rattlesnake. But,
this isn't true. Yeah. I cleared the cameraman safely with one giant leap straight backwards. But
you never would think that a person as small as Travis could jump that high, but it was impressive.
Way to throw Travis under the bus.
Travis. Could you get a Hershey bar under his feet when he jumped up?
Man, like he cleared. Well, it was Jason that was filming with us, right?
I cleared the oak tree. I would have been it would have been a Guinness record or an Olympic record if they would have been there to capture it. Yep.
Absolutely.
I was just about to step on a rattlesnake that was coiled up and shaking.
Hey, Scott, by the way, one of your employees is trying to kill another employee, just so you know.
What?
Because
I don't think he was actively trying to kill him. No. I think that he was just happy if anybody else was closer to that thing other than him.
I was just trying to survive.
Survival mode.
I didn't push anybody anywhere.
The fight or flight thing really kicked in, and it turned out that Travis did take flight.
So I did take flight, and the thing though that's interesting is that when a rattler, like you feel like they're everywhere. When you're in the middle of it, you don't want to take a step anywhere because you just don't know if, because they come out of nowhere, right?
And it's loud. And it's way louder than you think.
Not for me. I'm deaf. I couldn't hear it. That's why Tyler saved my life.
Oh, well,
right.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't wearing the all clears back then. I was going without any hearing protection.
Naked in the
ear.
I
was. Yep. I wasn't wearing my hearing aids because the blast.
I'm surprised you didn't hear it even without your hearing aids.
Nope.
Well, and like Scott, to give Travis a little credit, I didn't really understand what it was at that time either, because it didn't sound. I've heard a lot of rattlesnakes.
That one sounded like a cicada.
It did, and so when I heard it, it was literally just buzzing. It was just bzzz. And I was in my mind, I was thinking, God, there's no cicadas in Arizona. And I looked down, and right alongside my left foot, there's a rattlesnake. I mean, not 6 inches from my foot off the side of the trail.
Did you jump too?
And all coiled up, ready to go. And then I turned around, I noticed that Travis didn't see it or hear it. And I just stepped back, yelled snake, and I pushed Travis for a second. Then he climbed over the camera guy.
None of that's true.
Did you get this
He
on
walked
film?
past it. He yelled, "Snake!" And my right foot was just about to go down. And that would have been the foot that would have been potentially, if it struck, depending on where it struck, it would have either hit my boot or my leg. And I had been
That's
wearing
freaky.
snake gaiters the 2 days prior because we were in cactus country and the snake gaiters are like body armor.
Right.
You know, but I took it off that day because we were hunting the canyons in the grass and it was 26 degrees that morning. And there was frost on our windshields that we had to melt before we left our lodge. And so zero thought of snakes. But that afternoon, it warmed up to almost 70 degrees. It was a south-facing slope that we were
Was he
hiking
out on the
up,
rocks, too,
and it was
Ken?
out on the center of a hiking trail. A hiking trail that it
Yeah,
was.
the Arizona Trail.
Yeah.
Like
So-
a very well-used hiking trail, too.
All right. So we've recorded 251 episodes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
this is
wild.
51.
Nope. This is 250. The only episode that has never aired in all of our years of doing this was a conversation that I recorded with Craig Jones. And you brought it up,
Oh.
Tyler, and it
Yep.
made me remember as I was scrolling through all of these episodes that we've done, I had a conversation with him a couple weeks before he lost his battle with cancer.
Mhm.
And it was really tough. And we decided, Brandon was our producer at that time, and Brandon and I talked about it afterwards, and we decided that we were not going to air that one. That's the only conversation that we have had all these years. I do have a couple of notes that I write down for the episodes, but for the most part, we just have conversations here, you know, and
Right.
that's something that you do, Tyler, as well. And that's why I
Mhm.
like when we sit down during the middle of a hunt. You know, I look back to some of my favorites, you know, like up in Alberta. We recorded at like 1 a.m. under the northern lights. We just thought, well, we're going to hunt in the morning, so we better just sit down. Some of the places, the people, I mean, I don't know. Like this podcast, Tyler, what for you, you've been doing it even longer than we have. You know, it's a chronicle of your hunting journey all these years that you get to look
For
back
sure.
on. Is there anything in your experience being a podcaster, a fellow podcaster, that you'll appreciate forever or take away from doing this?
Oh, just the friendships I've made. You know, we were talking about it recently. This year, last year was a good example as well. But I've made all these connections through the podcast where I literally have friends all over the country. So like this year with our road trip that we took in December, you know, I met Tim Brown through the podcast. I met Fred through the podcast. We went down to Arizona, hunted with my buddy Wade Zarlingo that I met through the podcast. Then up and hunted with Ryan and Jace through the podcast. And so like that's the greatest gift that this has given is just making friends and meeting people that have this common interest. That, I mean, they're as fanatical about it as you and I and Scott are, where it's, you know, it's really kind of taken over my life, certainly, and yours as well, where, you know, it's what we think about 24/7. And getting to know and meet people and make friends that have that common passion is just the coolest part about it. It's just made the world a lot smaller place.
Every great bird hunt needs great native habitat. We all know that. Those that want to grow the best habitat on their own landscape know that one of the biggest obstacles to getting great native habitat is planting it correctly. Our friends at Hoxie Native Seeds felt this pain too, so they built the Hoxie Native Seeder. There's no wiring, no hydraulics. Using the best planting practices learned through decades of hard work, the Hoxie Native Seeder was designed to bring you the best native cedar on the market today, and it's half the price of the other guys. Find out more about the Hoxie Native Cedar at hoxieNativeSeeds.com. If you're active in great outdoor adventures, then odds are good that you have gear, equipment, and toys that you need to haul. Well, our friends at Aluma Trailers, they've got you covered. Their trailers are built by a hardworking team in Bancroft, Iowa, right here in the good old USA. They have models for all of your hauling needs, from ATV and UTV trailers to snowmobile, motorcycle, car trailers. And, well, basically, if you need to haul it, they have a trailer to tow it. Trust me when I say that Aluma Trailers tow gear like a dream. Their trailers are constructed out of lightweight, strong, corrosion-resistant aluminum, and they are 100% maintenance-free. Plus, they come with an industry-best 5-year warranty. Visit alumaklm.com to find a trailer that fits your needs. All right, so we asked our listeners on social media last week, what will you remember about this season? And we got a lot of stories written in. I did read this one last week. I'm going to read it again, though. It's great. And then I want you to take it from here, Tyler, because you can totally relate to this. This one comes from Craig Jeffs. It says, "This was crazy. I was hunting grouse. My lab got super birdie, so I'm following him down this ridge, just going crazy. We get to a thicket. He goes in after it. I'm waiting for a big blue to come out. And here comes my dog with a great big skunk in his mouth, spraying him everywhere. It was crazy." I love that story so much. And it immediately made me think about you driving back, recording a video half naked, covered in skunk spray. What's your skunk story from this year?
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, it's a miracle that it hasn't happened to me before this. But in September, I'm out chasing sharptails. I got I got a camp in with podcast listeners, and I'm out with 2 guys from Minnesota, really good guys. We got out of the truck. I made a call to a landowner friend of mine, and they told us to go ahead and hunt this piece of alfalfa. Shot a lot of sharptails out of there. We weren't 100 yards from the truck. Dogs on point. Sharptails go up. Everything's great. A couple of birds in the bag already. We just got started. And I had my old dog, Rusty, on the ground, he's been in like millions of birds. Well, not millions, but thousands and thousands of birds that dog's been on. It was actually on his birthday, which was also kind of ironic.
How old?
So he just turned 12.
Oh, legend.
So we're out. We're on this big walk, and Rusty takes off down this tree row. It's got some alfalfa on one side and some CRP on the other side, and I get an alert on my GPS that he's on point. So down the tree row I go, and I'm looking at it, and I can just tell immediately it's not sharptail. I was thinking pheasants. So I walk up, I get right alongside Rusty, and a rooster pheasant takes off. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of cool. Always nice to see, you know. Well, Rusty doesn't move. He just stands there like a statue. I'm like, okay, well, he's got a brood of pheasants here. And so I start walking in front of him. Well, I get about 10, 15 feet in front of him, and I start kicking around, thinking it's just a brood of young pheasants. And all of a sudden, I kicked something that felt like I kicked a pumpkin. And I was like, oh, no. I knew instantly what it was. And I saw that.
Oh, we lost him?
No, technology's not your friend.
Come on,
Tyler.
no. Tyler, come back.
Oh, that's funny.
Do something. Do something. All of a sudden,
you might have to call him and put the phone up. Put the phone up to the mic.
Oh no!
Should I text him?
Oh, he's back. He's back.
Okay.
Sorry,
All right.
sorry.
We lost you at all. I kicked, and all of a sudden.
Yeah. So.
Tyler.
Yeah.
I never want to take a ration of you know what from you again on technology.
Right.
Do we have a deal?
Yeah. Well, I'm talking and I'm not paying attention to my phone. Then it locks.
It locks and he doesn't. Yep.
Yeah. So okay. So I kick what feels like a pumpkin, and here comes this big black tail up above my knee, and this thing cuts loose like right on like point blank range on my boot and pant leg right there.
Oh man.
So
was it like
I
a
turn around
stream or like a cloud? Kind of just.
Oh, it was too close for it to be a cloud. It was a direct stream.
Like a garden hose just shot you?
Like a garden hose. Yep, exactly.
Oh, it's the worst.
I turn around. I'm pretty sure Rusty did it on purpose. He's like, after all these years, This is what you get for all those times you didn't believe in me, whatever. So I walk back. I tell the guys, I'm walking up to the guys I'm in the field with, and I was like, guys, I got to get back to the house. Dog and me both got sprayed by a skunk, and they're like 20 yards away, and they're like, oh boy, you sure did, you know? So I walk back to the truck, and I'm not going to, ruin the interior of my pickup. So I take off my boots, take off my socks, take off my pants. I smell Rusty. Rusty he didn't get a drop on him. I mean, that dog was standing in the perfect spot. So I put him
smart.
Yeah, exactly. So I put the dog in the kennel. I put my boots and my pants in the back seat of the truck, and I'm driving back. I call my buddy Wes. I was like, dude, do you have a skunk kit at the house? We use hydrogen peroxide, Dawn dish soap, and baking powder to make like a paste. Works really well. Does a good job. And he's like, yeah, dog gets sprayed. And I was like, nope, just me.
Just me.
And so I turn onto the highway on Highway 2, and I'm driving. And apparently I was going 75 and a 70, and I get pulled over. And here comes a highway patrolman walking up to my truck as I'm
as you're naked in your truck.
As I'm pretty much naked. I'm in my boxers. And he comes walking up to the truck, and he says, sir, I got to ask. He's like, how much marijuana are you transporting? And I was like, honest to God, none. And he's like, I can smell it from my cruiser. I was like, nope, that's not marijuana, buddy, at all. And he like looked in and he noticed my bare legs sitting there, and he's like, just kind of like leans in a little bit closer, and he looks at me, and he kind of real serious look on his face. He said, did you get sprayed by a skunk? I was like, oh yeah, I sure did. And I was like, you could open up the topper on my truck and take a whiff on my clothes if you want, but I got it. He just kind of chuckles, and he's like, man, I hope you have a better day. And he turned around and walked back to his cruiser. Cool. I'm sure he got back there, called all his buddies on the radio. He's like, you're never going to guess what I just pulled over.
That is phenomenal. How long did it take to get rid of the smell?
Honestly, it wasn't too bad. I mean, like when my boots get wet, there's still a little whiff of it, but I got a really nice pair of Crispies that I just got broke in, and they're super comfortable. And so when the boots get wet, you can still catch a little whiff of it. But I took my final rise pants off, put them in the solution, soaked them for a while. Same thing with the boots, let them sit outside and dry, and did it again, and then I rinsed them off, and you can't smell it at all in the pants.
Any takeaways from this experience? Any lessons learned? Any advice for our listeners?
Well, when that little tingle sense is going off in the back of your mind, thinking that something just ain't quite right, it likely ain't. And I just kind of it was a combination between the one rooster that flushed out early and my dog. And I don't know if the dog was pointing the pheasant. That's my bet. Knowing Rusty, he was pointing the pheasant. Then when that rooster took off, there was something else there. And he was just like, well, I'm just going to stand here. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. But like just looking back on it now, it was exactly the type of spot that's, I walked past a rock pile not 50 yards away that was full of holes. There were definitely skunk dens. There was all the signs were there that I should have just grabbed the dog by the collar and walked out. But
I love it. That's so
I
fantastic.
wanted to be a good dog owner, and I wanted to go over there and flush the bird for my dog.
Yeah. If you wouldn't have seen that rooster, would you have thought, okay, something's not right here, and then maybe pulled Rusty off?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have thought that maybe he was like, the two things I was thinking of, until the pheasant flushed, I was like, that's a really good spot for a porcupine, or that's a really good spot for a skunk. And Rusty, like none of my dogs will get in on a porcupine. I've had to pull one quill out of the tip of Rusty's nose in his life.
How is that possible? Only one? Because the ones that I've pulled, they get it all.
He pointed it for a second. He was only a year and a half old. And then I think he just went in to kind of get a little bit better sniff. And he caught one quill right in the tip of the nose, and he backed right off it. And since then, he's pointed probably 4 or 5 over the years, but he's never gotten in on one. Not Bo hasn't either, and neither has CJ. But they've never. None of my 4 dogs have ever had a quill in the mouth. Not one.
Unbelievable. Well, you have had quite a season. You've also launched the Upland Supermodels podcast with another fella down in Iowa who also happens to be with us right now. How does this come about? How have you guys been the Upland Supermodels all this time, and you haven't invited Scott or I to be a model with you.
Well, the Plus Size Models podcast has size requirements you just don't quite meet.
I do.
Scott, on the
Scott
other hand,
meets it.
is welcome anytime.
I'm continuously in the show, as you guys like to put me in a backpack and carry me around in the field with you, the two of you. Tim, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
What's it like being sidekick to a supermodel?
Well, I thought we were both supermodels. I mean, look at us. I mean,
Right?
That's right.
Right?
Dang right.
you can't put this much meat in a 5-pound bag, bud. Not like you.
No, that's true. That's true.
It's really hard to get that much sexy on one podcast.
I wish
but
that
we
they
did
could
it.
see both of your faces right now. The camera could.
It's happening. It's happening right now.
It could if you got me in there, boys. And then watch out.
You're going to be surprised when Tyler and I pull up in a Prius to go hunting
Oh,
Boy,
my
I
goodness.
don't know what the weight capacity of a Prius is, but if we're at.
Well, I mean, we owe it to, Toyota to do our due diligence to make sure that we fit.
We
That's
should
true.
we should get the
That's
three of us in a Prius, stop at a stop sign, and do a Chinese fire drill. And just watch the looks on people.
We're going to need a lot of butter and a couple shoehorns to get us out of that.
Yeah. We're gonna need some grease and some dental floss to get us all in there.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't plan it to be all of us at one time, but I couldn't have planned it
kinda worked
any
out
better.
perfectly.
Yes, it's good to have all of you here today. We're going over stories that we haven't even gotten to yet because we get sidetracked a lot on this show, and that's the beauty of it. Tim, this season for you was a special one. Tyler, I know you're on the mail route right now, so if you got to hang up, that's cool. But Tim, I thought maybe you could share with us your highlight from this hunting season. You sent me the story, and I said, no, you got to tell it instead of me reading it.
It was, it's probably the highlight of every season for me, to be honest with you. My old man got to come up and hunt with us on opening weekend this year, and he's 81 and he can't walk very well. He's got back problems. He's got, some other issues going on. So he was just pretty much going to be a blocker. And usually the blockers get pretty good shooting with us. And so we set him up at when we're pushing through this big piece of CRP. We're pushing through it, and I got a pretty good video of it. He shoots one out of the air, and I bet it was 40, 50 yards or 40, 50 feet in the air, and it just falls out of the sky. And we got to talking about it afterwards. That's the first bird that he's killed since probably like 95 when I was in high school.
Wow.
Yeah. So that one was big. And my brother was right there next to him. Just down the way a little bit. And there's birds flying legitimately everywhere. I mean, they were pouring out of this field. And so we get done with that one, and I walk up to him, and he goes, well, it's a good thing that I got that one because I only had 3 shells with me. And he can't really walk. So I'm like, Dad, what in the hell? You only have 3 shells with you. And these birds are flying out. He goes, well, I didn't think that I'd need more than 3. And I'm like, oh my God. So we get done there, and we go to a place that we have that's got a food plot in it, right? And the creek winds down through, and it's got sorghum on both sides. And he's in the truck with me, and I was going to block with him this time just because, I don't ever get to sit next to my dad hunting anymore, really. So we set up, and I had him sitting on the tailgate of my truck, and I had it right down next to the sorghum that was coming up through there, the strips. And I said, they're going to be walking this way, Dad. I go, just be ready. And they're going to come flying out. Well, I went up on top of the hill just to watch. And I mean, there was birds look like ants running along the edge. So I walked down the fence row to him, and I go, Dad, get ready because there is a ton of birds coming. And he shot a double.
Oh,
so
that's
he got
great.
his limit. He got his limit on opening day this year for the first time since, I was
30
a young
years.
kid.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
So that was probably the high point of my whole, the last at least 10, 15 years, I bet.
Gotcha. Well, thanks for...
and then, to put on top of that too, like he's had some health issues. We had a scare where we thought we were going to lose him around Christmas. So if you ever have a chance and you have people that are on the fence about going out and not sure if they want to go out, encourage them to go with you, because you never know if that's going to be your last time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a good reminder. It's a good reminder. Tim Brown, the bearded uplander, you are going to be at Pheasant Fest this year, I believe, right? I think you're auctioning off a hunt with you. Is that true?
Yep. So all my friends talked me into finally getting a booth. You had said it a few times last year too that I needed to do that. So I ended up getting a booth, and we're doing a hunt sweepstakes to come up here where Tyler was hunting, where Tyler stayed. You haven't got to stay there yet, Travis, but
the bunkhouse. Is it the bunkhouse? Yeah, okay. I've heard
we have
rumors
a
of this
that
place.
We stay in.
Yep.
And it's a 2-day, 3-night stay, and dogs are welcome. It's for one person, and all meals are included. You just got to get there and have your license.
How many times can Scott bid on this?
Scott can bid as many times as he wants.
I'm going big.
Okay.
Going big or go home,
big,
right, Tim?
S. Fransen, Scott F. Neither one of those. Pick somebody else.
Trap.
Pick somebody else.
Pick Franny. Pick Franny.
Yeah, Hannah can come. Hannah can come for free. We won't rob her.
There we go. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate it. Glad you had a good season. We'll see you down at Pheasant Fest. Gentlemen,
right, boys,
see you soon, Tim.
We have to get into these stories.
Yes.
I've been talking about it for 2 weeks now. We've only told 2 of the listener stories. So should we jump in here?
Yes.
Bernie phrase, it was somewhat of a bitter, sweet season. First season for my young lab, Rip, and closing in on a great career for my older lab, Cooper. Rip will be ready next year to carry the load, while my old friend
Cooper on the right.
Cooper will get to run some short hunts. So we have behind me here, these are the 2 pups. I believe the one on the left, he kind of looks like Hank a little bit.
He does look like Hank a little bit. Yeah,
yellow lab. Beautiful dogs. Bittersweet season for Bernie. Bernie, thanks for sharing the photo there. Oh, this is great. This one comes to us. The name is Upland Affairs. I will apologize for trying to pronounce some of the names. And then obviously on Instagram too, you can have the craziest handles. So this one comes from Upland Affairs. The hunt I'll remember from this past season is when my dog Gus pointed, then flushed a rooster, and I made a Ron Shara shot.
Does that mean he missed it or got it?
Only barely clipping a wing. When the rooster took off on the run with all the excitement of the flush and shot, Gus lost track of the rooster through the blue stem. We searched the area where I thought he went for 20 minutes with no luck on recovery. Lo and behold, when we circled through a neighboring property, Gus emerged from a pothole with a winged rooster nearly 630 yards from the spot the shot was taken. It's a hunt I'll remember for a lifetime. I love that he called it a Ron Shara shot. That's so good.
I thought he was going to say he was standing in the wrong spot.
That would also apply. Oh, my goodness. Scott, what's the longest retrieve you've ever had on any of your pups?
Oh, sometimes it's hard to tell because they go over a hill and you don't know how far they're going.
Yep.
So there's been several times where Hank, my Gus, my Butch, and Millie have done that where I've lost them, see them go over a hill, and they come back. One of them was when I was filming with Steve Olenschlager. And
I remember that.
Yeah,
I was wondering if you're going to bring that one up.
Hank made an unbelievable retrieve, and Steve said that had to be a 300 or 400 yard retrieve. I was like, I don't know. I never saw him. He went away, and he came back with a bird in his mouth.
Yeah. At what point, I think there's a point where I think most hunters, if they have a dog that's going to retrieve, they realize that the dog is on the bird. You got to let him go.
You got to let him go.
And there's some more stories coming up where somebody didn't think that the dog was on it, So I've learned that too, even with Daisy. She loves to retrieve. Even for a pointing breed, she loves to retrieve. And she's found rough grouse and pheasants and partridge and quail in places where I'm like, no way, gone. We're all focused on this 20-foot circle where the bird went down, and she wants to go. And so a lot of times I'll just say, you know what? Let's just stand here.
Right.
We're going to stand here for a little bit. One, I want a little bit of scent to kind of get out if the bird is still here. Because how many times have you seen the bird laying in the grass, the feathers, and you're like, hunt him up, get him, find him, fetch it up, whatever command you give, and they're running right past and they step on it and they don't even smell it. So it takes a little bit of time sometimes. But I have seen her go and find some birds so far away where you're like, whoa. It just shows you the power of the dog's nose, their abilities,
and
their drive, and sometimes you just gotta let them go. And I bet you there's a lot of people listening right now that have stories just like Upland Affairs and us.
Yeah, I think you hit the key on the head too, Travis. As you get to the spot where
you
mark the bird,
a key on the head.
Key on the head?
Nail on the head.
There we go. Thanks, Al.
I'm getting lightheaded. It's lunchtime. Is when you get to the spot you marked your bird, just stand there and let the dog work.
Yep.
A lot of times with guys that don't have dogs, you'll start searching around. Okay, hey guys, just wait. Let's not put a bunch of other scent down. Let's just see what happens with the dog. And more often than not, you don't have to move. With the dog, like Millie or Daisy, they'll come back with it. And when I was hunting with Tyler this year,
take your time.
Now, how much time we got? Because this is a good story.
Okay, I'm here for the stories.
I was hunting with Tyler, my buddy Jeff, and I just told this story on Tyler's podcast, is the three of us. And we'd split off from our other two buddies, and we were going through one shelter, kind of tree-lined area. You've hunted this farm. We filmed there once, and they were in this other drainage. We go through, bird gets up, I shoot it to my right, and it wasn't, I could tell that bird's head was up when it went down. Get over there, and Millie and Bo are looking, and then Tyler comes over, and Jeff, and their dogs are looking, moving around, coming in and out, and I kind of lose Millie. And then Tyler said, oh, shoot, Brad and Pete, my other two buddies, because I don't want them going down there. They need to be on the other side because of X, Y, and Z. So I call them. In the meantime, I'm not even looking. I call them, said, hey, Tyler wants you guys on the drainage to your left. You see it? Yeah, okay, good. And then I'm talking, you see any birds? All of a sudden, this bumping on me, and I look down, and Millie's got the bird in her mouth, and she's pushing it into my leg, and I have no idea where she went, how she found it. She was out of sight and came back, and it's like, that's very cool. I love that.
Our dogs make us look way better than we deserve.
Yeah, they
way
do.
better.
They really do.
Yeah, speaking of, there's Daisy over here. She wants to be on the show too. She's like, you guys, you're nothing without us. All right, next story comes from Justin Brick Photography, also an Instagram one. Lots of good memories. The first, my lab getting her first Canada goose retrieve. Oh, we got a different photo for this one, Big Al? No, we don't. Okay.
I was going to say, if it's from Instagram, no.
Okay, the other is a 150-yard pheasant retrieve. She flushed the bird in the tree line, and my buddy shot twice. I thought he missed it, but she marked it through the air and took off. I didn't realize it went down. I called her back, stopped her halfway, and said, come back. And she thought I meant go back. And she went back on top of the hill, tail wagging and nose to the ground. Then I saw her pick something up and come running back happy. My buddy and I couldn't believe it. We hugged and high-fived. She was happy, and so were we. There you go. There's another dog just kicking butt out there. This story comes from Doug Cherry. It's a little bit of a lengthy one, so I'll do my best here. My best moment from this past year? ? I would have to define that not as a single moment, but an adventure. As an avid listener of the Flush podcast, episode after episode, thanks, Doug.
You.
Yeah,
thank you, Doug.
I would hear Travis Frank do the Hunt North Dakota ad. In his voice, though, I could hear an honest passion for hunting in North Dakota. That's right. As a teen, I started bird hunting in Ohio back in the 70s. I started with dove, pheasant, and ruffed grouse in Ohio. In more recent years, I have hunted birds in Iowa, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Utah. I have never hunted birds in North Dakota, and I have never harvested a Hungarian partridge or sharp-tailed grouse. But thanks to Travis, I added those birds and North Dakota to my bucket list.
Shocking, Travis.
Seriously, I didn't
chose this story to read.
I know. Isn't that shocking? This is a straight cut and paste. You can go online
Send
and you
this
can
to North Dakota, will you please?
Fall of 2024, I made my way out to North Dakota to put some check marks on my bucket list. This trip enabled me to check off, check mark, bird hunt North Dakota. Check mark, harvest Hungarian partridge. My 5-year-old English Springer, Daisy. What a great name, dog. We are BFFs. Daisy afforded me the opportunity to take a double on Hungarian partridge.
Wow.
Attaboy, dog. What a rush to watch a group of 10 to 15 partridge get up in front of your dog. Check mark, harvest sharp-tailed grouse. Sharp-tails came with a lesson in patience. Being an avid rough grouse hunter, I have become a snap shooter. While that does great for the sharp-tail covey watchers, I more often than not found myself standing there with both barrels of my over and under smoking as the main covey took flight while trying to cram 2 more shells in the barrel, hoping for a shot at the sleepers. 2025 may very well find me back in North Dakota pursuing sharptails. I found them to be a very good challenge. Thank you, Travis Frank. I understand your love for North Dakota bird hunting.
You totally chose that one on purpose. Didn't you?
Obviously. I mean, well,
No,
Are you
that
sure you
wasn't
didn't
a
write
good-
that yourself, Trav? And just put in a flushing dog for a pointing dog named it Daisy?
You couldn't have drawn that one up more perfectly.
Doug, it's on go. It exists on the internet. It doesn't lie. If it's on the
It
internet,
was a good
doesn't
story.
lie.
It's
Dog,
just-
you
it's
gotta
just so
ironic.
send
Dog.
either Big Al or me a note to verify that
No.
you're really a person.
I think you could go find it on Facebook. That one came off of Facebook, and I copied and pasted word for word. I did not write my name in. I did not do anything different. What I read is what he wrote. Thanks, Doug. You're my new
Thanks,
number one.
thanks for listening to the podcast.
Yes, absolutely.
If you're a
Seriously.
real person.
He's real. He's real, and he's wonderful.
Doug, we're not making fun of you. We're making fun of Travis.
Yeah.
I just want
Yes.
you to know that.
Lots of love here. All right. Blaze Bo, the GSP. I'm guessing that Blaze, the GSP, did not write this. I'm guessing Blaze is
Another
Own
one
it.
of Travis's stories.
Al, quiet. Best was that first solid point for my first year at GSP. Watching him grow and get better every day we went hunting. The worst, however, was the mouth full of porcupine quills
Ooh.
on his second day of hunting. That's what
No.
I'm saying. Like for Tyler, when he said that Rusty came back with one quill,
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I've pulled a lot of quills out of dogs' mouths, sides, you name it. They get into a fight and they come back with, you swear, every quill.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So we hear you there, Blaze. Lincoln Norshoy wrote, I took my dog out to North Dakota for the second time ever. It was like something clicked with him and everything went right. He pointed a Sharpie over an amazing backdrop. He held point, I dropped it, and he picked it up. Couldn't have been much more perfect.
That is perfect.
It is perfect. Yeah, the question was, what will you remember from this hunting season? The Montana Daily wrote in, here, you'll appreciate this, Scott. By far, the favorite memory this season was my hunt with Scott Fransen. But y'all already know that story. Oh, there you go.
Who was that from?
Sam O.
Oh yeah,
So,
Samuel. I didn't know he was the Montana Dale. Oh,
That's his name. That's his handle on the OG.
Thank you,
Or wait,
Samuel.
the IG. Sorry,
Yeah.
the Instagram. Yeah. What is, y'all already know the story. What is the story? Give us the snapshot of it.
Samuel is just this great young man. I think he's 16 now, and he wrote the show and about coming inviting
He sent us a message.
Yes,
Yep.
about going to hunt with them. And it was something you and I had spoken about last season, 2023 season. And we couldn't make it work. So I reached out to him this year and we were able to pull it together. And he's watched the flush and got interested in bird hunting. Went and his interests sparked an interest in dogs. He had friends and mentors that eventually bought a English cocker for him
Sweet.
that he trained on his own, again, in working with mentors. He's gotten involved in some shooting groups and hunting groups. And now his older English cocker has given birth to a younger pup that he's training. And
He's 16?
He's 16.
Wow.
And we went chasing Hungarian partridge in Montana, which is, I love Montana and I love chasing Hungarian partridge. We both missed a lot. We got a few, and we went, and the bet that the topper was we got to go fishing for a half day too.
Sweet.
One day it was so hot, we just went to the Madison River
Swimming.
and let the dogs swim. We sat out there and drank our waters and chilled, and I watched trout rise and drift boats go by. And other than hunting for birds, that's...
See, I don't think I could sit there. I don't have that.
I didn't have
don't
a rod in the
I know,
car.
but I would have taken some blue stem. I would have whittled something together. I would have caught a fly. I would have made a hook out of a tree branch of some kind. I just don't have it in me to sit and watch it.
We
I need
just
to catch
kind of
them.
chilled and we soaked it in and
You also want to know
appreciated
something? There's a couple things I always take with me on every trip. Swim trunks. Because you never know where you're going to end up. And if you need to sit in the hot tub after a day, it's nice to have those. They don't take up any space. Always throw them in, even if you're going to the most remote.
They might have been in back at the hotel.
And also a fishing rod. You can have one that packages up.
Well, I had my fishing rod. It was at the
What
hotel.
are you doing? Well, exactly.
Well, I didn't
Put
know
it in the truck.
it was
Mine is in my truck. That's why I got like...
It was unplanned to go to the river. We just did it.
That's why you always have it with. You never know where you're going to end up.
I just said we went fishing. Weren't you listening?
No, you said we sat and watched
but we
the
went
dogs
fishing
swim
before
and
that.
the trout rise.
Yeah, we went fishing before that, and then or after that.
All right.
Not there.
Steve Hall. This one I like. Man, too many great memories, but these are a few of the good ones. Number 1, getting to hunt with the flush. There you go, Scott. Number 2, hosting our first women's hunt. That was so fun. Number 3, shooting a triple on wild pointed, by Reggie, of course, bobwhites. And number 4, the one that I like, personally witnessing Scott Fransen miss a lot of roosters. Okay, I put a lot. I put a lot. He put some.
Al.
Some is more than one, right, Al?
I did miss one. I missed 2 layups on one. Not one layup and one of the shots that I love, which is those high roosters going like this over you. It had flushed up on the hill, and it's one of those things you go, oh, I hope it's coming over me, and it does. And I was like 2 miles behind it.
Yeah. So going back to Sam talking about getting the English cockers. So I'm looking for an English cocker right now for my nephew. And that story, as I was listening, it reminded me. So on Thanksgiving morning, I took my dad, my nephew, 2 of my boys, and my niece, and we went out hunting before Thanksgiving dinner. And my nephew, he's 12, he's to my right, and he's just got this burning hunting and fishing passion that I grew up with.
Love that.
Yeah, it's so great. And my son to my left, and this rooster, we had seen a bunch of birds, and this rooster gets up, and it's flying in front of us out a long ways. I didn't even shoulder my gun as it crossed in front of me because I'm like, it's too far out. All of a sudden, I hear the shot to my right as it goes in front of him, and he just folds this thing. I mean, it was stone cold dead I didn't even shoulder my gun. And I look over at him, and I'm like, Kingston, my goodness, atta boy. Daisy ran over and grabbed that bird, but it was maybe the shot of the year.
That's great.
Because it was far out there that I didn't even take the gun and even think about shooting, and he just stone cold crumbled.
Just puff up.
Oh, yeah. I stuffed that big old long tail, stuffed it in his vest. He's 12 years old, and I'm looking for
English
cocker. A field-bred English cocker would be just ideal for him. They're just a great little...
Samuel has one that's for sale. Started.
Ooh. Okay. We'll talk after.
Yeah.
Yep, we'll talk after. All right. It's a new year, but some things stay the same, like the onX Hunt app being one of the most valuable hunting tools I take into the field every single day. I'd feel lost without it, both literally and figuratively. The app is a compass that's ideal for us bird hunters. It shows our position on planet Earth and the land boundaries. It also shows us information about crops and fields and tree covers. You can use the app in CarPlay and Android Auto. You can look at land in 3D to understand terrain. You can create your own trails, check weather, add waypoints, send your location to friends, scout property, find landowners, create your own diary of successful hunts, and so much more. They are also huge supporters of the best conservation organizations in North America, and onX is always working to create more publicly accessible places for you and I to hunt. What's not to love about the app? The onX Hunt app is awesome. Try it for free for yourself at onxhunt.com. If you're one of the lucky hunters that harvested your own tasty wild game this hunting season, then I want to personally congratulate you on your success. Well done. And if you want to make the most of all that hard-earned meat, then I recommend you head over to waltons.com. They have everything but the meat. That's their motto. They have all the tools to help you process and prepare your meat, like grinders, mixers, stuffers, slicers, smokers, grills, and seasonings. They have thousands of items in stock and ready to ship the same day. They've also recently launched their own dry curing cabinet and a whole line of chambered vacuum sealers, from large commercial-grade sealers to smaller handheld models. And let me tell you, they are awesome. This year, John Tremblay and his team at Waltons are really focused on adding new content to their Meatgistics library to help all of us hunters make the most of our meat. All of that can be found at waltons.com, and you can listen to their own weekly Meatgistics podcast too. I'm happy to call the hardworking team at Waltons my friends, and I believe they will treat you like one if you choose to trust them with your own meat processing needs. Find everything they have to offer at waltons.com. Marshwear Clothing is one of the hottest clothing brands in the outdoors today. Marshwear designs clothing for the pursuit of good times in the outdoors. Their lineup is versatile, from field to hunt camp to a night out on the town. They have field staples like the Wheeler jacket and long haul pants, and everyday classics like the Sullivan Tech hoodie. Marshwear clothes are designed to keep you looking and feeling your best while you're in the uplands and on everyday adventures. They also have some of the coolest camo patterns on the market today, conceived from an amalgamation of vintage camo patterns from previous generations. Their mallard camo harkens back to the classics of old camouflage, but with a modern-day twist. I'm a big fan of their style, fit, and quality. All Marshwear clothes are field-tested and approved for the pursuit of good times in the outdoors. Check them out at marshwearclothing.com. This next story comes to us from Jake Perry. Favorite memory was guiding some friends grouse hunting up in the UP. We had a couple of great days of hunting. The last day, we had my friends Llewellyn and Mike Gordon point the same big drummer 3 times, eluding us and not giving us a shot. We kept reworking him when the pups pinned him. He was on the edge of a remote lake, and he couldn't flush towards us, so he tried to pick out over the lake. My buddy harvested him, but he fell into the water around 60 yards away. Luckily, his lure was able to be directed and completed the 60-yard water retrieve on that grouse. It was a memory I'll never forget.
That's great.
It's so cool. Sometimes you just have these cool things that you didn't expect, and they just stick with you.
Well, you don't expect your dog to water retrieve a grouse
Grouse,
in the woods, right?
Yeah. I've seen grouse fly over lakes a couple times in my life, but typically you're so packed into some.
You don't get a shot or whatever.
Yep. Let's see here. This one goes Kirk Miller. The banquet committee of our PF Headwaters chapter here in Helena, Montana, has a tradition of hunting together on January 1st, the last day of the Montana hunting season. We can see here the photo behind us. It's a nice kickoff to build rapport with the group before the 5-week crunch to finish organizing our February 7th banquet. This year was special because, hey, February 7th, that's coming up.
Yeah, that's Friday.
That's the day after this show airs. Hope everything goes well, Kirk and crew. This year was special because we attacked the jungle, in quotes, a steep, dense 20-acre hillside of trees, brambles, willows, and weeds, with 6 guys and 6 dogs, all of which were willing to pay the price of diving in deep, resulting in the flushing of well over 100 wild birds. We harvested a few birds as they bailed out of the jungle when one of us managed to find a shooting lane between the limbs while maintaining our balance on the snowy hillside. We picked up more birds afterwards as we tracked down roosters on the fence lines, ditches, and grassy bottomlands that make up the rest of this combination public and private land parcel. It was a team effort with several end runs and blocking maneuvers producing birds and 2 guys willing to run the vehicle shuttle to save us all a long walk back to the rig. It was cold and snowy, but even the pointers and flushers worked well together. We shot okay and finished the day with a nice tailgate of birds.
What a perfect ending to the season.
That's exactly like you go through the season, everyone's, they've worked out some kinks and flushers and pointers and everybody together.
Everybody living in harmony.
Oh,
and
man.
the birds are there. A couple Rupland kennels in the back of the truck.
It's so great when you can just end it on something like that, a memory.
Yep.
And, I'm looking back at some of my last hunts too, and I think perfect way to end it. No injuries, nothing took you out of the field. You were able to go out on your own terms. It's so sweet.
Love the smiles there too. Those are
Eric
some happy
Hobbs.
hunters.
Eric Hobbs has a photo here, Big Al. The stories this year seem endless. The ups and downs of upland hunting showed their face. This was the last day of the season on a
What was his
nasty
name?
Eric Hobbs.
I don't know. You never sent me that one.
That's not true. Check your email.
Did you just send it to me?
This was the last day of the season on nasty running quail with a 1.5-year-old dog that hunted like she was 5. It was a day I won't soon forget. And unfortunately, since Al didn't check his email yesterday,
Al, where is it? Come on, Al. Spotlight's on you.
Why'd you send it to me?
yesterday afternoon,
Eric.
there were additional photos added.
I don't have Eric. I have you sent me the same photos I already have.
No, that's not true.
See? Kirk, Mark, Paul, Wes. See?
Ooh.
It's not always my
I
fault.
don't
That
think
a boy,
so.
Al.
Did you check the
Travis's
folder?
place.
Did you check the folder?
Yeah, look at through right now.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
David Quick got his first double on rough grouse.
I could do hand gestures.
He's only been trying for 25 plus years. That is cool. A double on a rough grouse. I did it last year.
That's
and
tough.
It is tough. And I had an opportunity this year too, and I missed a second shot. And I'm just like, I don't know what it is, because getting one every time you get a rough grouse off of a point,
But
like
2 grouse, a pure double on rough grouse is hard. On the wing?
I can still picture it. Deezy's locked up on point. It was a wet day. It rained. I'm soaking wet. She's soaking wet. It's thick. It's early. There's a lot of green still, and she's on point, and it's a little bit wider opening. And I walk up, and I'm like, oh my goodness, is this happening? I got a clear lane. First bird gets up. Boom. Shot. 2 more get up at right as I'm pulling
She
the
dropped
trigger.
the first
I drop
one.
first. I move over on the second one. And I shoot and I miss, and I only had 2 shots, and the 2 flew away, and I was like, no. But I have done it, and it's awesome. Congrats, David. Paul Johnson writes, the best memory was that every year, the weekend of Thanksgiving, I take my dad's old Model 12 out with my dog Cash. Love that name. I still think of him when I smell the walnut stock. We got our 2 roosters with 2 great flushes. There he is with that old shotgun. Beautiful birds and his black lab there. That's, oh gosh, I love that. Do you have an old gun that you like to hunt with, or anything sentimental that you carry into the field, like a rabbit's foot or something?
I don't. I have my original first gun. I haven't used it in years. It's
Same.
an old 870 Wingmaster.
Same. I have the same one, a 12 gauge pump.
Yep, 12 gauge pump.
Yeah, that thing has pulled me out of marshes. And, I mean, it's
Mine
shot.
fell into the water several times.
Thought it was gone. Waterlogged inside of a duck
where you do
boat.
this like.
Yeah, totally,
Yeah.
totally. Oh man,
They're almost indestructible.
almost.
Yeah.
All right. Christopher Zim writes, best year so far. Starting and ending the season on a pointed rooster by my 2-year-old GSP. Watching my brother miss so many times and getting to hunt with friends and family.
Love it.
Love it when your brother misses. It's
It's like
almost
you love
as
it
good.
when I miss.
It's almost as good as when my brother Scott misses. This one comes, it's a little bit of a lengthy one. Let's see here. From Reed McWilliams, also known as Iowa Fin and Feather. All right. Best memory was probably the time my setter had a bird on point. I go over to kick the grass. You see, I'm getting into this here. Yeah. Try to get, I actually don't know what's coming. I go over to kick the grass, try to get him to move. He won't. So I kick the grass some more. He wouldn't move. I look at my buddies across the field. They go, there's no bird over here. But I can't get him to move. The second I finished saying move, a bird exploded between my feet, and the wings hit my legs on the way up, scaring the ever-loving crap out of me. I didn't see if it was a hen or a rooster because I was so scared. The other guys were laughing too hard to see what it was either.
Love it. The dog is never wrong.
I know, trust it.
Yeah.
The other time was me going 3 rounds for 3 roosters in less than an hour, and so did my buddy. Both of our dogs were all over it that day. It was my first time going 3 for 3, and same for my buddy. That's pretty cool.
That's good.
And next, but finally not least, my first ever Iowa wild quail. I was so confused at first because my dog points meadowlark so often. I thought it was that till I realized the sheer number of birds getting up So I shot and I got one.
That's good reports on quail. We saw some
Yeah.
quail when we filmed down there too.
Yep. Oh, this one's kind of cool here. I like this one from Doug Davis out in Arizona. Travis, I had a very neat experience, one that's never happened to me before, and it turned into quite a special day. I was heading to an area in Arizona to hunt quail, and an acquaintance of mine that is an avid deer hunter told me that he thought this area held scaled quail. So I headed there thinking that I would find scaled quail. Surprising to me, when my bird dog Charlie went on first point and the covey flushed, I could clearly see the beautiful masked head that these were merns. What made this such a unique and special hunt to me was because it was in an area that would not be known or habitat that you would not normally find merns quail in. I was in my own little piece of paradise. I found something
who was
special.
that from?
Doug Davis.
Oh, Doug gets after him in Arizona.
Yeah, he
too.
does. Yes, he does. Brian Phillips writes, first time hunting for prairie chicken and sharptail in the shortgrass prairie of South Dakota with my friend Daniel and our young pups, his almost 3-year-old GSP, 7-month-old cocker, and my 2-year-old griffin. The bonus was getting birds on every walk.
Oh,
Congrats,
that's
Brian.
a huge bonus.
That's a big bonus. Christopher Groth, I think Groth, writes, my father-in-law and I took our first shot at a rough grouse adventure this past October in northern Minnesota. We were able to move plenty of birds and enjoyed the chase of finding their preferred cover and feed. Our German wire hares performed great with many solid points and retrieves along the way. I was able to harvest a bird with my papa's 410 side-by-side, whom had passed earlier this year. I feel so blessed to enjoy God's creation, not only with my family that is still here, but those who are gone as well. That's
Great
a special
story.
one.
Yeah.
Yep. Brian Den Boer writes, my best memories came from the most frustrating. This was my young short hair's second season. His first season, he backed the older dogs and pointed his own birds. Opening weekend, I watched him bump grouse. So I hunted him by myself only. The following weekends, I watched him work grouse and woodcock and completely take them out. Oh, Brian, do I know how you feel? I took a week off mid-October to hunt. The first 3 days he bumped or took out probably 30 birds. Finally, midweek, he started pointing woodcock. And by the weekend, he was standing grouse for my wife to walk into. From frustration to pure happiness. It was tough watching those birds fly, but so rewarding in the end. That is an experience a lot of our listeners, and like I said, I know how you feel because I've seen it. There's something about the I don't know if it's the terrible twos, but they're a teen. You know, they can be a little rebellious, and so
They're not perfect.
No.
Even your adult dogs that have hunted tons, they still have off days,
absolutely,
as we do as hunters.
I've had days this year, and Daisy's 4, and there were days where I was like, who are you? What are you doing?
One times with Hannah, and Millie was like on crack, and it wasn't even bird. She was just spinning and running, and you're constantly toning her to get her in range. And I go, you know what? Sometimes they just have an off day.
I wonder if that was because Hannah was there and she's used to like Hannah, being around here and playing.
I just think she was super excited to be hunting again.
Sometimes Daisy gets bird drunk. If she hasn't been out in a few days, she gets like she's got to wear some of that out.
They're so excited. They know what's coming.
So excited, and she just forgets. And then all of a sudden, a shot rings out, and she's like, oh, "Okay,
now I'm back in.
All right,
in
the
game.
Let's do this." And then she locks in, and then she's a sniper. Overton Vishlas writes, took my wife on a hunt this year with our 2-year-old Vishla. We ended up going to our plan E as other hunters had best us to the spot. I wasn't expecting much at this point. It was mid-season and had not yet shot a limit of roosters over our dog. We tried a new spot. 100 yards from the truck, Tori, our Vishla, went on point, and we knocked down 2 roosters. Attaboy. Walked over another 50 yards, and she went on point again. Shot and got our 3rd. So we thought. Ecstatic, I walked over to grab the 3rd, and it flew up from my feet and hovered over the ground for 30 yards. Our dog chased and jumped into the air trying to grab it, and I was unable to shoot. The 3 of us stood in awe as the rooster flew away and into the next cornfield. I was beyond excited to show my wife the adventure that pheasant hunting can be. It was a great year for us in Iowa.
Wonderful.
Even though the bird got away, that we can all relate to that. We've all been there.
Mm-hmm.
If you say you've never seen it, I don't believe you.
I've seen it on camera.
I've
Which
seen
it
you
doesn't
do it
usually
a lot.
happen on
Yours
camera.
get away a lot.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm Ron Sharon.
I love that. I Ron Sharon
It's
it.
now a verb.
It is. Barely winging it. That's so good. All right, this one from Jason. Mine was my 7-year-old German short hair tracking a deer I shot at night without any blood training at all and finding it.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
That's
pretty
really cool.
Zach Byers wrote, not necessarily a hunting memory because I do not hunt yet. I'm working on becoming an adult onset hunter. I became a life member to Pheasants Forever this past May. I think it's absolutely beautiful what the wildlife conservation has to offer. Some days it can be challenging, but fulfilling in the end. I just finished up my first day of school today.
Hi, Zach.
Congrats, Zach. Joy Van Wingarden wrote that she got to watch Josh Sparks shoot his first rooster. Yep. CJ Gillis wrote in, my 5-year-old setter finally putting all the pieces together, and I finally shot my first 2 pheasants ever. It's something I'll never forget. It felt like it was never going to happen, either dog actually pointing wild birds or me actually connecting on birds, but both happened in the same field. That's an unforgettable moment for sure. Yep. Congratulations.
Yep.
Again, the question is, what will you remember from this hunting season? Christian wrote in, discovering my 5-year-old boykin that we adopted from an elderly family friend is a natural hunter. That's cool. We've got 1 month left of public quail season here in Georgia and 2 months left on private land in this hunting season. Good luck down there, Christian. Hunter Jake 28 wrote in, 2 rough grouse and 2 roosters in southeast Minnesota on the same public patch. My 3.5-year-old chocolate lab flushed and retrieved every single one of them. All were taken with my 1949 A516 gauge.
Oh, that's
I wish we had a
great.
picture of that one now. We don't have one? No. You must have lost that one too.
So was that Jake?
No. Yeah.
Like okay.
I mean, Hunter Jake 28. That's
like this Jake? I don't know.
Let's see. What do we got? Nope, that's a sage grouse.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Coming up later here then.
That's what you were thinking. You're a sage grouse master now?
That was not what I was thinking, but I figured that
All right,
wasn't.
Brady Collins wrote in, best and worst memory of the season. Most likely my last hunt with my soon-to-be 12-year-old chocolate lab Brie. We've had a hell of a great time together. My best friend. Cheers to retirement.
Cheers.
Mm-hmm. Tom Lane wrote in, this past year I introduced my buddy Dave to upland hunting, and now he has a pup and will be joining us in North Dakota this coming fall, and I can't help but thank my wife Tracy for putting up with all of our hunting and joining us every year in North Dakota to help the dogs and I enjoy our passion. I have the Flush and Tyler Webster to blame for listening to all the podcasts and TV to fuel our addiction to this great sport and community. Thanks for listening, Tom. We sure appreciate you.
Maybe we'll see you at Pheasant Fest.
And thanks for introducing a friend to the hunt. That's pretty cool. He's got a pup coming. John Tolgard wrote in, my grandson Andrew's first South Dakota pheasant hunt. That was his highlight. Jeremy Nelson's highlight was me grabbing for my gun when a grouse tried flying by while I was peeing. He had the smiley face, little guy there too. Timothy Timothy Stawiarski. I'm sure that's not
sorry, Tim.
Sorry, Tim. Just spending time in Iowa chasing wild pheasants. The pointed birds by my GSP Duke erupting feet from me. Seeing good numbers of hens, too.
Good.
Yep. Joshua it's getting long into this show. I'm sorry, people. Everyone that I'm butchering the names. Joshua Bilanzich. Finally got to multiple states. I got to 4 states and hunted mom and daughter. Pup really picked it up and was super solid. Got after pheasants, sharptail, lots of chucker, and Hungarian partridge. Shot more birds than I ever have and saw more new places. Got my wife out and shot her first 3 pheasants, going for chucker this week. Oh, and I bought her first shotgun for our 12-year anniversary last week. Love the memories we make with friends and dogs chasing birds.
That's a beautiful picture.
That's a great picture.
Oh, gosh, look at that sky.
Just beautiful.
Take me back there right now.
Yeah, that's like the perfect.
Yeah, you can see here the wild sunflowers right there. Oh, gosh. The grass, that dog locked up looking like $1 million.
Think this guy knows how to do video, too?
Ooh.
Careful, he might be taking your spot, Al.
He'd have that picture that Travis sent you.
Yeah, totally. Wes Keeler writes in, for me, I'll most I'll most cherish this season as I brought home a new GSP puppy this year. This is my second hunting dog as my almost 13-year-old Weimaraner is retired. I spent all summer attending NAVDA training days and getting the new puppy ready for our annual group trip
Look
to
at
North
that.
Dakota for the Upland
Wow.
opener. At 6 months, she was learning to find sharp-tailed coveys and spend time on the road. A month later, she experienced the Minnesota pheasant opener. A month after that, we were in Iowa for the pheasant opener as well, where on the last day, she pointed me this bird in the photo, which is now being mounted. Throughout the fall,
Look at the tail on that bird.
Oh, that's
Holy
like
cow.
6 times longer than your pheasant, Scott.
That's not my pheasant.
Well, you're claiming it. Throughout the fall, we made a few more trips to Minnesota and Iowa along with Wisconsin. This little 40-pound rocket has a lot of bird exposure under her belt and no quit in her. We were also able to spend time in the field with 10 different friends or new hunters. That's pretty sweet.
That's a great,
that is
memory, great picture.
That is a solid bird right there. That pup looks happy. Oh my goodness. Al, if it's in his office, don't you think that it's his?
Well, those ones are from your office, right?
Yeah.
Well,
And
those don't look as long as the.
grab that big son of a gun right there, Scott. Grab that big guy right here. Let's see here. We're gonna measure this over.
Okay,
Al,
okay, that,
are you
okay,
kidding
that-
me?
I
Well,
meant
then
that
I'll go get my tail feathers of birds I shot.
Well, if you're gonna mount a rooster, pick a big
that
one.
rooster was given to me.
Put those back
for
in my-
everybody listening to the podcast. This is what I like to do in the office. I like to instigate.
Yep. Okay.
All right, I'm bringing my good tail
After all the
feathers from
time
now
in the
on.
field this season, he's not done yet. Sorry. After all the time in the field this season, I'm super excited to see how she grows this spring and summer. I see many more trips in our future. Travis, keep the Flushed podcast coming all year long. You and Big Al have spent many miles in the
Yes.
truck with us this year, and you didn't even know it. Al, I told you were in here.
Yes.
Yes.
I want a shout out. Come
You
on.
already got plenty.
Yeah.
This is just what they're sending
got
in. This is what
Sam
they're
O.
writing. So you were in
Sam's
there.
my boy.
Yeah, Steve. He was loving the misses on your part. Same here. Justin Goins sent us, the best memory was to make memories with my wife and son, who is heading into the Navy this February. Hunting with our 6-month-old GSP and pointer. It's crazy to think that on one hand, our son is leaving for the military, and this year was the last hunting season for a while. But then on the other hand, we started a new hunting season with 2 new pups. We're looking forward to all hunting together as a family in a few years to come.
It's a beautiful dog.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful puppy
Another
there.
great picture.
And
too.
thank you to your son for his service. Justin, we really appreciate you and your entire family. Dan Lenzen sent in mixed bags and the grit to bag the last rooster. This is Rambo and Rogue coming up here. If Big Al can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Those are some hunkers, dude. Look at them.
Yeah.
The dogs.
Al, can you name these birds?
Well, the 3 in the middle are pheasants.
Attaboy, Al.
Yeah, you
I
got
don't
one.
know what the other. I don't know what the other ones are though. I know a pheasant when I see
Hungarian
one. but-
That's a
Partridge.
partridge
Okay.
there, and those look like quail, right?
Those are quail.
I was gonna say I know a pheasant if I see one.
come
Just not
along-
the extra birds.
You haven't come very far, Al. For as far as you've come, it hasn't been
Well,
very
to be
far.
fair, we do podcasts, not video. So now we do video, but I don't get to see the birds.
We
I
got to
don't
get
come
Al
out
in the
with them.
field.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We will.
Yeah.
We will. LaCrew Outdoors sent in way more time in the field, building tons of memories. Narrowing it down is tough. So he doesn't have a favorite. That's okay.
That's all right.
Mark Lazaro said that his favorite memory from this season was a father-daughter hunt.
Mark Lazaro.
Come on, Al.
That sounds
Attaboy,
beautiful.
Come on out. Look at that.
Yes.
That is so fantastic.
Scott knows a thing or two about father-daughter hunts
Yes.
too.
I wonder if his daughter yells at him too.
It appears that there's a lot of love here
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
those two, which I really...
He probably didn't shoot his daughter's bird.
I bet she shot hers, and then afterwards, Mark said, "This
Yeah.
is the right thing to do. Now I'll take my shots." So,
He's a better man than I.
no comment. I wouldn't bring that up. Berkeley Sanquist said, "My favorite memory from this season has to be my last hunt of the season. This was my 1-year-old GSP Frankie's first ever hunting season, and I watched him improve every single hunt. Our last hunt of the year, there was negative 10-degree wind chill, but we couldn't miss out on our last chance to get out. On our last rooster of the year, Frankie puts on a perfect point. maybe 35 yards ahead of me. But as late season roosters often do, the bird does not sit tight and flushes. I put up a Hail Mary shot, and the bird flies another 40 yards after the shot before dropping stone dead. Lung shot. Frankie finds him in the thick cover he dropped in and retrieves him to hand. The bird also happened to be our biggest rooster of the year with 24-inch tail
Look at that
feathers.
tail. It's so long it has to curl.
Needless to say, that baby's at the taxidermist. Look at that. That is a
There's
sweet.
a lot of
Yeah.
also beautiful dogs today. Like I love the all black face.
That is a stunning dog.
Wow. The all black face with the white body. That's
Mhm.
beautiful.
Oh, man, look at that bird. I love the old barn grain bin. Ah, man. I'm so bummed that I'm not hunting right now. This very second. Joe Rundell wrote in, the last day of grouse hunting, trying to get the last one. I was walking up one trail, coming to another trail that came to a T. My dog does it feel good if I'm kind of bringing
Yeah,
it? Okay.
yeah, I like
does.
that.
Okay. You like the energy here?
Yeah.
My dog locked up on point in the triangle that the two trails formed. I realized the grouse is going to flush across that other trail. So I hustled to the other trail about 30 yards away while my dog is holding a solid point. I get to where I needed to be, and sure enough, the bird flushes right in front of me, crossing right to left. Everything is perfect. And then I missed. My dog wasn't too impressed with my shooting. My dog did her job, though. I was hoping that we were gonna have
I
bird
wish
in
I
there.
had a remote control to zoom in on your on your hands.
On the
while you're-
intensity.
Yeah.
All right. Charles Forey wrote, my dog, Geese, Guese. How would you pronounce that? Geese?
Guys.
Maybe it's an error. Maybe goose. I don't know. Maybe his phone did something there. But either way, my dog, it's just copy and paste. I'm not
Yeah.
writing. So my dog, Geese, coming over the hill with the rooster she tracked, pointed, and brought to hand like a pro at 2 years old. That was Charles's highlight. Reese Hills wrote, the best memory is meeting this gentleman, Gary, and his pup from California in the UP of Michigan. I think you got a picture here, Big Al.
From who?
Reese Hills. So it was Mac's first time out hunting. He was basically untrained. At 6 months old, a large Munsterlander, we did a few crash training, and about his third time out, my boy Charlie, maybe it's Charlie.
Oh, yeah, I do have that one.
Charly.
Yep.
Was on point in the thicket, so I walked in. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
Upon going in, Max went on point in front of his owner. The grouse flushed up and he connected on the shot. We walked out and we sent Charlie for the retrieval, and the smile on his face says it all. The memories of a first bird.
That's
Love it.
beautiful with all the fall colors
Yeah.
too.
Oh, God dang
Doesn't
it.
it make you wish she was 8 months from now?
Especially that right now in I guess it'd be February now.
Yeah.
This is tough.
No.
I don't want to be inside right now.
I don't
wanna
either.
I want to be there.
We got to get out of this room, Travis.
Holy
I'm starting to
cow,
get
I
hot
know.
in here.
Al,
Funny thing, Scott and I both have to be right back in
Yeah.
here after this.
How long have we been going? An hour and 27
Yeah,
minutes?
you just like to talk, Travis.
No, I'm trying to get through these because I can't not do this. Okay, Derek Zexer writes, shot my first wild pheasant limit, which is 2, in a state where there aren't many wild birds. Shot 1 bird over each of my dogs, which made it even sweeter.
That's even better.
Greg Vinson wrote, my dog Dixie, a 16-year-old setter, pointed a pheasant in Kansas, and 3 of us missed it.
Oh, no.
That's a
She-
beautiful pup.
That is 16 years old. She looked at us like that has happened before. And in parentheses, he wrote, and it has. Then getting back to Alabama and Dixie getting a quail point and us getting the bird. Her eyes light up when she knows it's time to go. But the body just won't let her do much. Been a joy with her every year.
But she looks great for 16.
16.
Holy cow.
Oh, my goodness. What a beaut. Craig Standish wrote that he waited all season to hunt his CRP. Once the flush came to Indiana to hunt with us, it was a season I'll never forget.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Craig's a stand-up man. God darn it, can he grow some wild birds in Indiana? Thanks, Craig. Brian Strike wrote in, being able to hunt with Ron and Scott. Wow.
Wow, the both of you.
At Browns
Hank
for the Hank hunt. New friends and great memories. You are his highlight. Did you know that?
That's very nice,
Mhm.
Brian. We had a great time with you and that Hank hunt it just gets better and better every year. Thanks for everyone who has participated in it.
Absolutely. Randy Krebs wrote in her third season, my pointing lab really dialed it in. She pointed grouse, woodcock, and pheasants consistently. Sometimes it's not one memory, it's all of it,
Right.
And that's awesome. Jake Koenig wrote in, the best memory from this season was a solo trip to Wyoming with my 2 labs to harvest our first sage grouse. Worst memory from season, unfortunate porcupine run-in on opening day of pheasant and quail season in Nebraska, 30 minutes into the hunt.
See, I put that up because I knew
photo.
it was a sage grouse.
Oh, wow.
I knew that,
Look at you. You're learning.
Oh boy.
Yep, those are sage grouse, and that's a bomber, too.
Yep.
That is a
That's
really
beautiful.
nice sage grouse there. Beautiful black lab. Congratulations, Jake. Dino
Millie,
K.
take a look at that picture. He's
Yeah.
pretty handsome.
Something to shoot for. Mentoring a group of 4 men and a separate group of 4 women who've never hunted before. Sharing my passion, getting them hooked on upland hunting, and as a bonus, getting to watch my 2 labs be rock stars in the field. Hamilton and Opal, a.k.a. Hambone and Little Baby. I love that. James Mayrand. My wife shooting her first quail over her first pointing dog in Patagonia, Arizona.
Are you reading all of them?
I'm just rooting.
There's like 100 of them.
People take
Scott
the
and I
time.
don't have that much
If
time.
people write in,
Al and I are busy, Trav. We
No,
don't
you're
have
not.
all day.
She
we got a
You're
meeting in
fine.
10 minutes, buddy.
All right, she put in years of dog training and shooting. I'm trying to give James credit. Okay,
Sorry,
Can you
James. Didn't mean to stop on your shout out here. James.
My wife shooting her first quail over her first pointing dog in Patagonia, Arizona. She put in years of dog training and shooting practice to bring it all together in that moment. When that comes together, you take time away from your meeting and you read it. Scott Fransen.
I was just
Fred
curious. Just
McAdams.
asked a curious question.
All of the up and comers learning from the vets to carry the torch on. Another year, Travis, and you'll be in that place as well.
What's up with all these amazing pictures?
That is a
They're
great
awesome.
picture.
Yeah. John Solberg wrote in, when hunting with an older dog that's been doing it his whole life, when he disappears on a winged runner for a bit, don't panic or get anxious. Just relax and be as visible as you can be. He just might surprise you. And always remember to play the wind, especially
That's a
on
good
dry
one.
days. Is it October yet?
Look at that dog.
That is a beautiful
Look at
dog.
him. He's so,
that's a
so
little
happy.
English
So
cocker there,
happy.
isn't it?
Yeah. Fabio Mancella writes in, my first woodcock with the 2-year-old dog. I've been practicing it for 3 years. Love it. David Buhar wrote in, went hunting with my buddy Tom and his lab and his GSP. Now I have a 5-month-old GSP and going with him to North Dakota in the fall for 2 weeks. Love watching the dogs work. Jean-Charles Laradan wrote, my first rooster and experience in the United States with my French Brittany. I'm from Quebec.
That-a-way.
Steve
Yeah.
Sicard wrote in, 11 flushes in 1 day. Great job, Bodie. Should we do one more?
One
We
more.
can do one more.
Okay. Bullseye Bill wrote in. That's a good name.
Yeah, that's
That
a
is
good
a
name.
good name.
Yeah, we should start having people do their monikers when they write in too.
Are you? What's yours? Mine is. What is mine now?
Notorious PIC.
Notorious PIC, and your.
Sharpshooter Scott.
Nope, that's not it. It was
Thanks, Al.
something else.
Sharpshooter Scott.
No,
there we are, right
obviously-
here.
obviously
Taking your
not.
calls.
Uh,
You're got hot stacks of
No,
wax.
Pine Cooley.
Cooley, that's
It is such a sick name.
okay.
If you don't want Pine Cooley,
you can take
let's
Pine
give it to
Cooley.
Al.
Yeah, Pine Cooley.
Pine Cooley. I mean, it just
Big Al
it's
was
so
just
good.
growing on me too, and now the
Yeah.
fans know it.
The fans know it. Yep. A highlight is hunting with my family, friends, and Hank, my Labrador. The low point of my season is this story. Oh, I don't want to end on a low point.
Yeah, what?
Yeah.
I don't want to end on a low
Okay,
point.
we can't end on a
okay,
downer.
Do you want to read it and then go one more quick one?
Nope.
All right. Sorry.
I
Bill.
would like to say thank you to everybody for listening to us for 250 weeks.
I agree.
Especially my mother, because I believe she's listened to
Thanks,
every
Mom.
one of these podcasts.
Thanks,
Is your-
Travis's
Mom.
mom.
Does your wife listen, Scott?
Only if Hannah's
That's of mine too. She does follow our podcast page.
She follows the Instagram.
Yep.
But when I try and say something, I was on the podcast, I say, oh, that's nice, honey. You know, I'm going to go for a walk.
There was so much great feedback for your daughter last week. And,
That was fun.
And it was a joy having her on.
Oh.
She's even more
see-
famous now than she was when Scott shot her bird.
She in this one in 2 basically episodes is already way more famous than Scott Fransen.
Everyone's more famous than
I
you,
mean,
Travis.
it just happened like instantly. Everyone's like, are we watching a budding star in front of our eyes?
Whoa.
Yes,
good.
you are. Absolutely.
So it's just my job.
We
to
don't
continue
even graphically have to change a lot in the show. One clip, and we just change the first name and leave Fransen
Yeah.
up. You know, I mean, it's such a simple
She's gonna have to get a
transition.
dog.
She already has one.
No, Millie kill. No.
Honestly, though, we appreciate everybody that has stuck with us this long. We appreciate our sponsors as well. Onyx Hunt and Waltons have been with us since
Federal.
Yep. I mean, a lot of our sponsors have been with us, but on the podcast here, those two have been with us since the very first
day one.
podcast.
Yep.
And we really, really appreciate all of them, all of the support from our listeners, from our sponsors. I will say, Scott, thank you for telling me that I have to do this because it has given me so much joy to connect with so many like-minded people in this space for this many years. Here's to 250 more.
It's really allowed us a different level of connection. It has. Thanks, everybody, for listening and watching. And what I would only add, Travis, is as we experiment with this new video world that we're doing, if you have ideas or suggestions on things you want to see and or hear, let Travis know. He's the star of the show.
Mm-hmm. We'll be back next week with a State of the Union address.
Love it.
Wait to hear what we have cooking. We'll see you then on the next episode of the Flush Podcast.